I'm going to talk about time is money and understanding compound interest. And compound interest is one of those things that shows up as hashtags and investment seminars. And when you really understand it, it's not complicated as a concept. When you wrap your head around it, it makes all the difference in your approach to investing. So what is compound interest? Basically, it is interest earned on top of interest. So whenever you invest your money, wherever it is, whether it's in a TFSA or an RSP or a non-registered account, however it is that you invest your money, there is the interest rate, which is, depending on what you invest in, could be guaranteed or could be variable. But then once you leave your money in there for a longer period of time, what's going to happen is this phenomenon called compound interest, which is basically not only are you receiving the interest on what you invested in, but there's also interest on top of interest. And we can break it down into three parts. There's the principal. Principal is your money. So whatever money you have put in, there's the interest rate. So again, depending on what you invest in, sometimes it's variable. Like if you're investing in investment funds or the stock market, it's nothing that could be predicted. Other times, if it's like a GIC, for example, which is a guaranteed income, guaranteed investment certificate, where the rate is guaranteed, you know this ahead of time. And then there's the time. So it's principal, interest rate, and time. So you need the money that you put in to invest. There's the interest rate or the interest that you earned, and the time that you leave your money in there. The longer and more aggressive the investment is, the more impactful compound interest is in the long run. And why does compound interest happen? Like I said, it's interest on top of interest. So basically, does anybody here or is anyone here familiar with the term DRIP? So it's basically the DRIP working. So when you invest your money, a lot of times, if you're investing in stocks or investment funds, when the companies that you're investing in are doing well, they would distribute what's called dividends to its shareholders. So it's basically a type of profit sharing. Company does well, it'll distribute X amount of dollars to all its shareholders. You have two choices when a company issues dividends. You could either take it out, like say, hey, it's free money. A lot of times they'll distribute in December, so here's your Christmas money. But it becomes taxable income when you take it out as cash, or you could leave it in your investment. And when you do that, over time, the effect of compound interest happens. And just to say it, I'm going to say it over and over again, it's the time that you're investing the money. It's not a quick buck. And the longer you keep your investments going, like for example, if you're saving for retirement, the more you'll see the impact of compound interest. And I'm going to visually show you what that looks like, because if any of you are like me, I could hear things, but I need to see it in color in order to understand it. What does it mean to have your money work for you? This is also a buzzword that I see in a lot of financial webinars and these, big conferences, get rich, this is how you do it type of thing. Having your money work for you is literally the effect of compound interest on your investments. I'm going to give you a live example that's going on right now. My clientele, so for those of you who have children, you might have an RESP, or a registered education savings plan for your child. An RESP is a type of account that you could open as a parent for your child to save for your children's post-secondary education. Because of the demographic of my clients, I don't really open a lot of RESPs anymore because I don't have a lot of young families as clients. What I'm getting a lot of now are parents who are cashing out their RESPs because their kids are attending CEGEP and university. So they're cashing it out. And what I'm seeing a lot of is it's just a simple scenario. A lot of parents, what they do is for when their baby's born, for the next 18, 19 years or so, they'll put aside $50, $75, $100 a month into this RESP. It's invested somehow. And when they need the money, what happens is that the parents are allowed to withdraw all the money that they've put in as capital. That's non-taxable because it's already been taxed. So they're allowed to receive that. all the interest that's grown over the years on that money that's been invested, that goes to their children. So this is a long-term investment. If you're opening this account for your child when they're a baby, this is an investment for over 18 years. It's not short term. More often than not, when I see a client or someone who's trying to be a client or might be a client, when I take a look at their ESP statements from where they are currently, 9 times out of 10, they're not invested well. And when they're not invested well, what happens is that the money's not growing as much as it should. Like if you have 18 years to invest your money and you're keeping it locked into like a conservative type of investment that only generates a few percentage points a year, like 2, 3, 4% a year, you're not having your money work for you. And so what I'm seeing a lot of now are people who are saying, okay, Lynn, my child is in, second year CEGEP. I want to start taking, or first year university. I want to take out this money. What are my options? I've never done this before. So I explained to them, you're allowed to receive the capital, and here's the interest that's left to go towards your child's education. And if you saved $100 a month for 18 years, that comes out to about $20,000 that you've put in. So parents are happy. They're like, oh, I wasn't expecting this money to come back. No one ever explained this to me. Great. But when we look at the interest side, after 18 years, your money should have the amount of interest that should have been earned should be at least how much you put in. In other words, your money should have doubled in 18 years, eyes closed, not even investing super aggressively, your money should have doubled. And what I'm seeing a lot of is I'm giving the parents back their $20,000, which is what they put in. But what's left for their children is somewhere in like the 9,000 range. Yeah, exactly. And that is not having your money work for you. And somewhere along the lines, whoever set you up with this RESP didn't explain that this is a long-term investment. I've been in the RESP space before. I've been, when I started off, my first ever license in financial services was as a group scholarship plan representative, which is basically someone who sells RESPs through a group RESP program. And a lot of times advisors, reps, whoever will kind of sell this product to parents and tell them, listen, this is for your child's education. You don't want to be too aggressive with it. You want to make sure that they have the money when they're ready for it. If the child is a baby or hasn't reached elementary school yet, you have more than enough time to invest that money. And, if you put in $20,000, you really should have earned more than $9,000, $10,000, $11,000. You should have at the very least doubled your money. All right. And this is the definition of having your money work for you. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Let's see if I have it here. 1 second. 700. Okay, let me just share my screen. So I'm going to do an investment projection. Okay, everybody sees my screen? Everyone see my screen? Perfect. Okay, so let's use this scenario. So I am a new parent. Amari is my advisor. I'm meeting with you at the bank, and I'm telling you, okay, I want to open up an RESP for my child. I have $100 a month because I get my child tax every 20th of the month. That's how much I want to invest. And then we talk a little bit. And you realize that I'm very kind of risk averse. I don't want to take a lot of risk. And you agree with me, Amari, because this is for your child's education. You don't want to invest in anything too aggressive. So I am investing $100 a month for the next 18 years in this RESP. And we go with a type of investment portfolio that generates an average annual return of 4%. If you've been to any of my Zoom sessions, I have a golden rule of thumb. anything, any investments, any money that you don't need in the next 10 years is 1,000% considered a long-term investment, and your goal in terms of our investment return should be at least 10% plus. And for those who've never invested before, I think that, oh my God, 10%, that's so unattainable. It's not. And I'm not going to do an investment fund, 101 thing tonight, but it is not out of the ordinary to invest in the long term and get an average annual return of 10%. And anybody who has any money allocated for long term, which includes an RESP when your children are still young, which includes retirement savings, any money that's allocated in retirement savings, whether it's in a TFSA or an RRSP or a LIRA. Some of you might have like a LIRA, which is a locked-in retirement account, or a locked-in RSP because you left an employer and this is your retirement fund that's locked in. Unless you're retiring tomorrow, you could go a little bit more aggressive. And if you need me to sit down and explain that to you, we could talk one-on-one. But it's so important. Anyway, that's my rant for that. So when we go to the chart, I'm investing $100 a month for the next 18 years for my child's RESP at an average annual return of 4%. So the invested capital, so the dark blue is my money. So over the years, I've put in 21,000 and change. The green is the simple interest that's earned. So that's the 4%. The 4% comes out to about 7,800 overall. And then the compound interest, which is barely, you kind of see it over here, which is like a lighter shade of blue. The compound interest that's accumulated, so the interest that was earned on top of the simple interest, is about $2,000. So I put in 21,000 and change, and after 18 years, all I earned, my profit, if you want to call it, is about 78. It's just under not 78, $9,800, just under 10,000. That's not good. That's not good. You can visually see it that the interest compared to how much money I put in over the long term, it's not an example of your money working for you. As I said, and as I say in all of my Zooms, any money that's for a 10-year plus goal, the financial objective, if we change this, and I know this is going to be on video, but when we do investment projections as advisors, we're not supposed to use rates of return of over 7%, but let's just talk reality. If we go with something if we go with something more aggressive, and we go for the 10%, we go for the US equity funds, we go for the S&P 500 index fund as examples, I'm still putting the same $21,000 in change. That's my money that I've put into this RESP over the years. The simple interest, just the simple interest alone, is 19.5%, which is almost how much I've put in. And then there's the compound interest that I've earned, interest on top of interest, which is another 16,500, which brings me up to $57,000 after 18 years. I still get back my 21,500, and my child will have about $35,000 for their post-secondary education. And this is just, I was talking about our ESPs. This doesn't include all the government grants that come when you open up an RESP. This is an example of your money working for you and understanding what investments are. Actually, sorry, 1 second. I'm going to be right back. Hold on. Right. Sorry about that. There was someone at the door. So this is an example of having your money work for you. Whether it's an RESP account or a TFSA account or an RRSP account or a LIRA as an account, if your money is not for a short-term goal, if it's for a long-term goal, it should look something like this. And when you don't wrap your head around investing or compound interest, you're literally leaving money on the table. This is the sheer definition of what having your money work for, what having your money work for you looks like. And once you understand and wrap your head around the impact of compound interest, instead of sitting there trying to figure out how to time the market, there's an expression. It's not about timing the market, it's about your time in the market. Everybody wants to time the market. When should I invest when the economy or the stock market is really, really low? Should I wait? Should I wait another few days? It's all about long-term investing, because eventually, like, the ultimate goal for every single company that's publicly traded, like that's on a stock market, the ultimate goal for all of them is to grow. And so if you're invested in the long term in quality type of funds or quality type of companies, no matter if the day-to-day is up and down in terms of share prices, it's your time in the market. These companies are going to grow as long as they're quality. And as long as you leave your money in there and let it work, then the effect of compound interest will take place. This is not going to happen. What I just showed to you is not going to happen if we're talking about money that you're putting into a TFSA, and then you're taking some of it out for vacation, and then you're putting some money back in, and then you're taking it out because you have to repair a car. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about goals that are long term. When anything that has a long term objective, in the end, it needs to look something like that, so that your money could grow, and you don't have to necessarily change how much you are personally investing. So that's, in a nutshell, how compound interest works, why it's so important to understand it, and what it means for your money to work for you. Are there any questions or comments?